Anxious people tend to envision the future more negatively than non-anxious people. Research has shown that positive episodic simulation, whereby an individual forms vivid representations by simulating positive images of future events, can alter event predictions, including people with dysphoria. In this study, we looked at whether this technique could work for anxious people as well, particularly given that anxious people tend to orient their thinking towards the future. Participants first completed the future event prediction task, in which participants made predictions about 15 positive and 15 negative future events. These predictions were about how likely the events were to occur, how much control they had over these events occurring, and how important the event would be to them. They also rated how vividly they could imagine the event. After this, a distraction task was administered, where participants tried to complete as much of a jigsaw puzzle in the time available. A future simulation task was then used, which included 30 positive keywords, which related to the positive events in the future event prediction task. Participants were instructed to think about a future event relating to the specific keyword on screen. Participants then completed the future event prediction task for a second time, and then answered 7 questions about their mood to determine their anxiety status. Anxiety status was determined by using established cut-off points. If a person scored 10 or more on the GAD-7, they were assigned to the anxious group, and if their score was lower than 10, they were assigned to the non-anxious group. We can see that post-intervention, people judged positive events to be more likely to happen and judged negative events to be less likely to happen, no matter whether they were in the low or high anxiety group. And there was a similar effect for vividness. No matter which mood group people were in, the vividness with which they imagined positive events went up, and for negative events, it went down. For controllability, the pattern of means indicated that positive events were rated more controllable than negative events by all participants, but this effect did not reach significance. Here, we saw no change over time. People rated positive events as more important than negative events, and this difference was greater for low anxiety participants. Post-intervention, positive events were rated as more important than they were pre-intervention, whereas judgments of the importance of negative events did not change. We have demonstrated that positive and negative future events can be improved by using positive episodic simulation. More importantly, this technique can improve perception biases about the future, not just for non-anxious people, but for people who tend towards anxiety as well. In particular, the intervention led to increases in the vividness with which people imagine positive events, and in how likely they thought they were to happen, and the opposite pattern for negative events. This matches previous findings with a dysphoric sample from Boland et al. In 2018. Overall, these findings add to evidence that positive episodic simulation is a promising technique for people with future perception biases, including those who tend towards anxiety.